Hello there, welcome back to my channel. We're heading into the last week of the school year, which still feels crazy to say, and I'm in the process of getting my classroom in summer mode. So before it looks too empty, I've been reflecting and I wanted to share 5 of my favorite classroom purchases from this year. 5 that were just kind of mid, so-so, they were all right. And then 5 of my worst classroom purchases this year. Plus at the end, kind of a bonus, I'm gonna share some things that I didn't necessarily buy this year. I already had them from prior years of teaching, but I still ended up loving. So let's jump into it. We are gonna start with 5 of the best purchases I made for my classroom this year. That way I feel better about myself when we get to the worst ones. Now, these are not in a particular order, they're just the top 5. I find it really hard to fully rank things, especially when they're in different categories. So starting with my teacher backpack. First of all, just one of the best decisions I made in teaching in general was switching from like an over-the-shoulder kind of tote bag to a backpack. I just find it so much easier to carry things back and forth from school to home.
I don't walk into your house and steal your Hello Kitty backpack.
Mostly from home to school. If I order things online and it's delivered to my house, then I need to bring it in. And having a backpack that can more evenly distribute the weight on my shoulders has been a game changer. This is the brand Light Flight, and it is exactly how it sounds. It is very lightweight. In fact, I have loved having it as my teacher bag so much. I went on Amazon and ordered a second one a few months ago to use for my travel backpack. I have already traveled overseas with it twice, and I can confirm it is fantastic for travel as well. A few of the features that I really like, it has this, I don't know how to describe the material, but it's that kind of material that feels kind of moisture wicking. Whether it is or not, I don't know. We don't get a lot of rain here in Texas, but it at least feels like that. I also love how many pockets it has. The side pockets are both zipper pockets. I don't love when bags have open side pockets for water bottles and things because I don't put water bottles in them. I didn't even put this on my favorites list, but I probably should have. This is my school water bottle. I also have a home water bottle, and this water bottle stays at school, so I don't need to transfer it back and forth. This is a SM brand. I think I got it from Target, maybe Amazon, I don't remember. It's like a Stanley or whatever is popular with the young kids these days, but that stays here at school. Regardless, I don't like to carry things like that in the side pockets. I like to use the side pockets for things like my keys, but with an open pocket, I'm always worried my keys are gonna fall out. So I love that these pockets have zippers. In fact, here are my keys. I was telling the truth. The other side pocket, sometimes I'll put my phone in there or just other little things that maybe I'm taking to and from school. But I love that those are both zipper pockets. Then in the front, there are several pockets. This one is small, it kind of comes in from the side. I just have hand sanitizer in here because you always need that, whether you're a teacher or not. This pocket, oh, I know what these are. Okay, this is kind of funny. These are my Chipotle gift cards because I get gift cards sometimes for gifts, and Chipotle is one of those things that just, if I've had a long night or something and I don't feel like cooking, I'm like, let me grab Chipotle on the way home. So I keep those gift cards in my school bag. This zipper pocket is typically where I will put my camera when I'm not using it, but I also have like some pens, Sharpies, highlighters. What else is in here? Some kind of a cord. Yeah, this is just an extra charging cable. I also have some extra batteries for my camera because those come in handy. And then do I have anything? Oh, I have a quarter. Otherwise, that pocket is empty, but I love that there are these dividers on the inside, plus another zipper pocket. Then you have the main zipper pocket. This is the biggest one, and this is where I will put items that I need to bring in. So for example, today I brought in a set of birthday pencils that I'm gonna use this week to go ahead and create my birthday cups for my students next year. But this has like a little kind of elasticy piece here, so you can kind of separate the things within the pocket. And then there is a more thin back pocket. This is where I put my laptop. And then I also keep this plastic case in here. This came from Amazon. but I will use this sometimes if I printed out papers at home that I need to bring in. It helps to protect them. Right now I have the Last Day Blues book that I brought in to read to my students, some tissue paper, and a gift bag for something for my teen teacher's baby shower. Also, you might notice I have a just like carabiner clip that I keep on this handle, and that's just because sometimes it comes in handy to like hook something onto your backpack. But otherwise, it does have a strap where you can put it on a suitcase. So as I mentioned, it's great for traveling, and the zippers have the little hooks where you can actually hook them together for like security reasons. But all around, I have loved this backpack. It was pretty affordable. I got it over the summer. There are no rips, no tears. I'm gonna use this again next year. So if you are also team backpack, light flight, highly recommend. Please ignore how junky it is back here. I promise it doesn't usually look like this, but I've been hoarding things for my team teacher's baby shower. But my second best purchase has been this mobile printer stand. Now, technically, this top piece was a separate purchase, so I guess you could group that in with it, but both of these came from Amazon. This is designed to hold a printer, but for me, because this back table is essentially my teacher desk, I use this to hold a lot of my supplies and things that I might need easy access to, and obviously it is where I keep my teacher laptop. So first of all, the cart was very easy to assemble, and it is on wheels, so you can easily move it. I'll be honest, it has sat here all year. I have not moved it. But on the side, there are these little like pegboard sections, and so you have hooks where you can hang things. So I have like some math flashcards. This is a wireless Bluetooth speaker that I use sometimes to play music. This is my fan because when it's over 100 degrees and you're outside for recess, you need a fan. These are my hand warmers because when it's not 100 degrees and it's only like 70 degrees, you're cold. But this is also magnetic and they just stick there to the side. There is another one of those on this side, and I put a little hanging kind of caddy type thing on this side. So this has like notebooks and things that I take to meetings and also remotes. Then there is space at the bottom, and I kind of struggled with this at the beginning of the year because I kept wanting to put binders or books under here, but then it was a struggle to get them in and out. So I ended up just putting these plastic bins in here. I understand it says stickers and there are snacks in here. It's the end of the year and we've done a lot of things with food. So I'm keeping extra snacks in here and then just giving it out to my students during snack time.
Snack foods.
But this bin is actually from Michael's. I wanna say it's like the Creatology brand, but it fits perfectly in here. I also have a second bin like that goes next to it, but currently it has all of my students' end of the year gifts, and those are stashed away in a closet so my students don't see them. But that has helped me kind of organize and fill up that space at the bottom. Then there is this drawer, and I really like, it's a fairly deep drawer, and this has a lot of my organization kind of supplies. So I have the little clips that I use on my class family fridge. I have paper clips and rubber bands, all of my binder clips that I use to organize copies. I have my most frequently used pens and markers. I have some notepads and little candies and drink packets because those are always necessary. And then these are little Ray Dunn organizers for Post-it notes. And then I have a tape measure because I feel like you need a tape measure sometimes. And then I have change and other random items. That's kind of like my junky section. Chapstick, I have some lotion. This is my little gravity timer that I use with students at the back table all the time. I love this because it is rechargeable, and essentially based on the way that you turn it, whatever number is on top, it will set a timer for that amount. So there's 5, 10, 25, and then 50 minutes, but you can also manually set it on the back. So it's just a really handy kind of small timer to have. And then I have my stapler as well. And as I mentioned, I added some things on top, and this was just to maximize the space. So this little organizer I got from Amazon. It just has the 2 drawers. I think it's technically like a monitor stand, but I just placed it on top of the cart, and now I'm realizing how dusty and dirty this is. Ew, please ignore that. It's the end of the year. I promise I'm gonna clean soon. But this has 2 drawers. The bottom drawer is just one big open space. So I have some of my like certificates for Brain Booster, some extra postcards. These are my scissors. We're gonna come back to those. I've got like tape, extra binder clips, extra staples. These are my like class photos from the year, but I have them in little frames and sometimes I will put them on student desks as motivation. And then this is a screen cleaner. This drawer is split up into 3 sections. So I have some of my little certificates and passes and things. So I have like my lunch bunch pass, free seat choice. This is a no homework pass. These were extra numbers for my students' iReady trackers in their math notebook, and then the extra credit slips that I give out when students complete extra credit. And next to it, this fit perfectly. This is a little cord organizer that I got from Target, but it essentially has the charger for my laptop is stored in here and then it runs back. You can see like the plug is over there, but it just helps to consolidate the cords. And then I love my little wireless mouse just fits perfectly on top. So I will link both the printer stand as well as this little monitor stand in the description box if you are interested. Next best purchase is my Ring presenter. Now, I have used some kind of a wireless presenter for my slides for years. I used to have one that was more pen-shaped, like it was long and skinny, and it was fine, but this year I switched over to this Ring style presenter and I have loved it for a few different reasons. First of all, the Ring is just really handy, so I basically will wear it like this and then I can easily click through it in my hand. And I just feel like it's nice because then when I'm done using it, and this is kind of a bonus thing, I didn't include this on my list, but this lanyard, I got it from Amazon. I have loved this. These are little silicone beads. They've held up really, really well. It's just basic black and I love this lanyard. So I will link this for you as well. But when I pair it with the Ring presenter, it will hook on. So when I'm not using the wireless presenter, I will essentially hook it on my lanyard. So that way I have free hands, but it's easily accessible. And a lot of times at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I still have the lanyard on with the Ring presenter. But this is also rechargeable, which is nice. It just uses a USB-C charger. And I'll be honest, I charge this maybe once a month. It's yet to die, but usually by the end of the month, I'm like, let me just go ahead and plug it in just in case. It does have a laser pointer. You can go forward and backward on slides. You can like exit slideshow mode or go full screen. And there is an on-off switch. So it's very basic, but it does everything that I need it to do. And then at the end of the day, when I'm not using it, you probably saw I hook it right here on my document camera. So that way it's hanging there and ready to go for the next day. Next would be my wireless doorbell. So we keep our classroom doors locked at all times. As a result, when students come and go from the room, they need to be let back in. And rather than standing at the door knocking, because I feel like sometimes we don't hear them or we don't see them, a lot of teachers use a doorbell. And so this one, it's the TechNet, I guess is the brand, but it came from Amazon. This piece I just mounted to the wall using a command strip, and then I put a little sign. It says, "Welcome, please ring the bell and our class greeter will let you in shortly." So I have a student who is responsible for manning the doorbell. Whenever they hear it, they will come open up the door, and you'll notice when you click it, it just kind of lights up. And then the other side of this is the actual receiver piece. This is wireless, so it runs on batteries, but this can be anywhere in the classroom. So whoever is in charge of the doorbell will actually keep this right at their seat. And then let me show you what happens when you ring it. So when you click it, you will notice it lights up and it also makes sound, and there are buttons on the side where you can choose between different sounds. You can also change the volume level. This is the lowest sound, but you can also mute it. So for example, if we're testing and I don't want there to be any sound, I will mute it. And that way the student who is responsible for it will still see the light, but we don't have to worry about there being any sound that disrupts it. Now, I've used the exact same batteries all year and it has worked perfectly fine. It probably gets rung, I don't know, 30 times a day, maybe more, and it has lasted all school year. So highly recommend. This brand does also make ones that plug in versus wireless, and they have different number ones where you can have like multiple buttons and so on and so forth. So I will link the one that I specifically have, but you can also go onto their store and look at other options if you need something just a little bit different. And my fifth and final best purchase of the year have been these Shut the Box games. Now, this organizer, not the best, but it has been good enough. This is actually a cupcake organizer that I got from the dollar store. So if you notice under, oh, there, okay, I should have thought that through, hold on. Okay, so the bottom of the container is made to hold cupcakes, but it was the only square container I have found that was big enough to hold the game, so it's been fine. However, the game itself is this wood board, and then there are dice. So there are 2 dice of each of the 4 colors that are around the board, and then there are directions. I just laminated the directions and keep it in here, but by now my students know how to play. This game, I am telling you, my students, they play it every week, and even by the end of the year, it has not gotten old. They love it. They love to battle each other. They love to battle me. If you have never played Shut the Box, you can Google to find like the official rules, and I'm sure there are variations, but a quick recap. Basically, each person will have a color, so you can play with as few as 2 people, or you can play with 4. Now, technically, you could play by yourself and, you're not competing against someone, but you can play by yourself. You are gonna start with all of your numbers up. You're gonna roll your dice, and you're going to add them together. So I got 4 and 1, that makes 5. I can flip down any combination of numbers that equal 5. So I can either do just the 5, or I could do the 4, and the 1, or I could do the 3 and the 2. Now your goal is to flip down all of your numbers. I can keep going until I can no longer flip down numbers. So for example, I'll flip down 5, I'm gonna roll again. This time I got 4, I'm gonna flip down 4. I can roll again. This time I got 7, I can flip down 7. And it keeps going until you get stuck. So there's 3. This time I got 9, I'm gonna flip that one down. Especially at the beginning, you really wanna try to get those higher numbers. Now, I got 12. Obviously, it only goes up to 10, but for example, I can flip down 10 and 2, because those make 12. Let's see, 10. Okay, I can no longer go because 8 and 1 don't make 10, 6 and 1 don't make 10. So my turn would be over, and I would total the numbers that are still left. So 8 plus 6 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So I would have scored 15 points for that round. Your goal is to try to have the lowest score possible. So you want to get rid of as many of those high numbers as you can. The next person would go, and you continue until someone has shut the box. That means they have flipped down all of their numbers. At that point, you don't necessarily win by shutting the box, you win by having the lowest score. So there's a lot of strategy involved, and my students, as I mentioned, just love it. It's a great math game, and you don't even technically have to have the box. I got this from Amazon, but you could play with just a whiteboard. Students can write the numbers 1 through 10. You get a set of dice, roll it, and then just erase the numbers as you go. But if you are interested in like the physical Shut the Box game, I will link that for you in the description box. This one is in color, but they do have ones that are all like solid wood, and they have other variations as well. Next, I'm gonna share 5 purchases that I would consider mid. I think that's what the cool kids say now, but average. So, not the best, but not the worst. And for each one, I'll kind of explain why. So first would be these notebook organizers. And as you can tell, they have held up throughout the year, but I don't think I'm necessarily going to reuse them next year. The reason I got these is because I needed a way to organize student supplies. Because I have trap tables, my students don't have a traditional desk, which means they don't have a spot to put their notebooks. So I had these 3 drawer carts. You can probably, I don't know, maybe over there, you can see them. Regardless, I've shown them in other vlogs, where my students would have like their math workbooks. I have like math manipulatives in the top drawer, but I still needed a place to organize math notebooks and science notebooks. Technically, I had kind of 4 groups of those because I have my morning class math, afternoon class math, morning class science, and afternoon class science. So when I found these organizers that had 4 different sections, I figured that was perfect, and I could even squeeze in like their dry erase boards and then dry erase pockets with different templates and things that we would use during math. And for the most part, it has worked out well. I can perfectly fit like 1 group's worth in each section. And then because I had the duct tape on the sides to designate the different classes, so blue is for my morning class, purple is for my afternoon class, and then green is for science. Math was pink, but those have already gone home. Visually, it was really easy for my students to grab them, and because they sat right next to the trap tables, my students had easy access to them. However, there have been a few times where students have bumped into them, knocked it off, and they have been slowly breaking. For example, you can see right here, this one is not connected at the bottom, so this is all loosey-goosey. And then you come over here and you find the one that has been knocked off probably 4 times in the past 2 weeks. And this one, like, it's not even connected anymore. It's just hanging off on its own. And it's fine because math notebooks went home, but that is not gonna work next year. Now, thankfully, I think next year I'm gonna have actual desks instead of trap tables, so it will be fine. But overall, I rank these as mid because they did serve their purpose for this year. They just have not held up the best over time. And part of that is because I got a little lazy toward the end. They would fall off, break, and I wouldn't put them back together fully. So for example, there are like these plastic pieces which actually come off, and they help to kind of reinforce the connection pieces. But you'll notice there are ones where they're missing or they'll be like underneath of it, and I just never put them back on. So it's partially a me problem, but they were just okay. Next, we have my standing desk. Now, this is right next to my IFP, which is my interactive flat panel. And this is where I do a lot of my teaching in front of the class. If I'm switching over slides or typing something, I'm right here. The reason I ranked this as mid, I have loved it, but I have not used it the way I maybe initially intended. So this is actually adjustable. There are 2 sides, and each of these sides you can like tilt it, and you can also bring them up higher or lower. However, it has stayed like this basically all year. I have had them at this height, you know, my typical standing height, the 2 sides even. I've never tilted them, I've never adjusted it. So in hindsight, I feel like I could have gone with maybe a different option that didn't have those functionalities because I just never used them. But just so you can see what it looks like, as I mentioned, that is my interactive flat panel, and I have it set up right here. The only thing that is plugged in on this desk would be my document camera. So you'll notice the plug goes behind where the IFP is because it is connected to the IFP, and then it is also plugged into the wall. Now, on top of here, I have a wireless keyboard, and this is connected to my IFP. So I'm able to type, and then I also have a wireless mouse that goes with that as well. I have a stapler, tape dispenser, a little organizer, so I keep like sticky notes up top, and then I have like some assorted pens and scissors, and then this is like the random stuff. So math manipulatives and whiteout and binder clips and rubber bands. On top of there is the document camera. And then I have some hanging kind of little baskets, and they're hanging, but they also end up just kind of sitting on the desk sometimes. This one has all my various remotes, like this one is for my lights. I also apparently have our hot potato in there as well. And then these are sticks for randomly calling on students. The blue is for my morning class, the purple is for my afternoon, but they just have student numbers on them so I can reuse them from year to year rather than putting student names. This is a little clip-on cup holder. I've had this for years. I got this when I first started teaching. I never put drinks in it. Honestly, what sits here would be my Golden Emerson trophy. So once the morning class leaves, the student who was a Golden Emerson comes and puts the trophy there. Then underneath, because there is this little, it's not even a shelf, it's just kind of a bottom section on that side, I have an organizer with some of my like notebooks and clipboards and things. So these are my versions of our math and science notebooks. And then I have a whiteboard, a clipboard, and a dry erase pocket. And then I have a student dictionary. This is on wheels, but I never wheel it, other than like maybe moving it to the side if I need to get access to something, but otherwise it stays like this. So I have loved having a standing desk. That was a necessity. I just feel like having one where the 2 sides are adjustable maybe wasn't a necessity. And while we're over here, let's go ahead and talk about our next mid-purchase, and that is my digital clocks. Now, I love these clocks. Like, I'm very happy that I went digital. This was my first year being in a classroom where I didn't have like an analog clock that was just part of the classroom. So I obviously needed a digital clock. This one I mounted up there using, I think, command strips. I know at one point I tried using magnets and having it on the whiteboard, but that didn't work. There is a clear wire that kind of runs down the side, and then that is plugged into the wall. It actually runs like underneath here, and then it's plugged in behind my library bookshelf. And I love the clock itself. What I don't love is the fact that the time is not right. It's typically fast by like 3 or 4 minutes, and every so often I will adjust it, and then it still gets off. So you'll notice right now that clock says 2:30. Let me zoom in, 2:30, But then if I come over here, 2:33, which is the actual time. So this clock has been right. It's the other one that's wrong. Now, this clock has been great. I have this one set up right here by my bathroom sign out, so it's easy for students to know the time. Plus, I can see it from my back table. You can easily go in and swap it when it's daylight savings time to be able to adjust the hours. And it also plugs in so I don't have to worry about the batteries. So overall, love this clock. And I love this one too. In fact, I love that this one is rainbow. I feel like it's a little prettier, but I just don't love the fact that it doesn't tell time correctly and it keeps getting off. So that's the only reason that this was ranked as mid as opposed to being like a best purchase. Next would be this pencil sharpener. It is the X-Acto brand, and technically this is our second one of the year because the first one got jammed up and had to get replaced. Overall, it's a great sharpener. However, what I don't love is this bottom piece will get loose, and when it's not fully in, the pencil sharpener won't work. So essentially students have to hold it while they sharpen their pencil, and it just kind of gets a little bit annoying. However, in all my years of teaching, I feel like I'll find a pencil sharpener that I love and then something will go wrong with it. And then I just repeat that year after year. So if you have any great recommendations for pencil sharpeners, leave them down in the comments because I would love to know. And my last mid purchase would be some of my custom stamps. And I say some because there have been custom stamps that I had made for this year that I have loved, and then there are other ones that just either I haven't used or things kind of changed and they're no longer applicable. Let's start with one I did love. That is my library stamp. So it's probably hard to see, but the label says from the library of Mrs. Emerson. I had this made on Amazon. It's just really easy to stamp it down on the book when I get a new book before I add it to my library. I have loved that one. I don't even remember what some of these are, so we're gonna go through them. This one says, please sign and return to Mrs. Emerson. This one has been super handy. In fact, I stamp report card envelopes with this, so each quarter parents have to sign the report card envelope and I will put a new stamp on there. I love that it's customized for me. This one says incomplete, finish and return. I don't think I've really used this one all year because whenever a student has an incomplete assignment, I just hold on to it until they complete it, or sometimes they hold on to it. So I haven't really needed a stamp. This one I have used, it's just kind of been okay. It says corrected, new score, and then there's a blank where I can write their new score on it. I use this sometimes, but other times I feel like I just write it on the paper, and that's faster than trying to get out the stamp. And then finally, this one says, note from Mrs. Emerson, and then I can check either completed in a small group, completed with some assistance, or completed with one-on-one support. I have used this and it has been handy, but it's a little small. So if I could go back, I would have gotten this one in a larger size so that it could be more easily seen. So the stamps have just kind of been okay. There has been one that I actually threw away because I was no longer gonna use it, and it had to do with like getting points taken off for late assignments, which I never used to do, but it was something my team was doing at the beginning of the year. However, we ended up kind of changing that mid-year and we were no longer taking off points, therefore that stamp was no longer needed and I got rid of it. So that's why I kind of ranked them as mid, because some stamps are great, other ones not so much. Now I'm gonna take you through my 5 worst purchases of the year. These are things that either broke or I just ended up not loving. And I'll be honest, most of them I don't even have anymore because I got rid of them. So I will insert pictures of them when I can. First, we have the pizza doorstop. Oh, the pizza doorstop. I wanted to love it. I really did. It was adorable. It was great until it wasn't. Essentially, at one point it got jammed in the door too hard, it cracked, and it was worthless after that point. It did nothing. It did not stop any doors. It just stopped me from having a working doorstop. So would not recommend. It was cute, and I would still love to find a cute doorstop, but currently I still have just your standard run-of-the-mill everyday doorstop. So again, if you have a doorstop that you would love, I would love to be able to get your recommendation. Next would be the plastic Chromebook organizer numbers. So these were little, actually, I might still have these, hold on. Yes, I do. These little plastic numbers. So they're just little clips that you would hook onto a charging cord. So basically the cords that would plug into my student Chromebooks, I had these on there to organize the chargers by number, which is a system I'm still using and I still like. It's just that these numbers were not it. Basically, they would slide down, they didn't stay put, and they also were really like pointy. And so when my students were trying to plug in their chargers, like it was sometimes painful for them. So didn't love these. I did end up switching to just these little like Velcro ones, and I would write the numbers on them with a Sharpie. They have stayed put, they have been much gentler, and I have really enjoyed these. So if you are looking for Chromebook organization, I recommend getting little flags like this versus getting like little plastic numbers. Then we have the magnetic calendar that was smaller than I thought it would be and just was not practical. So I'll insert a picture of what it looked like. I no longer have it. I did end up gifting the like calendar piece to another teacher in my building. Then I had gone on and gotten little magnetic numbers for the calendar and little headings for the months. And those were such weak magnets, they were awful.
Garbage magnet, garbage magnet.
So those just got thrown away. Like I could not even pass them on to someone else because they would have been like, okay, this is not helpful. I ended up switching to a product from TPT for my calendar where I basically just tape down the backing pieces and then I have magnets with the numbers that I move around each month. And that has been a system that I have maintained. So sometimes you gotta try things out. If it doesn't work, try something else. Eventually you will find what works. But magnetic calendar, not worth the money, got rid of it. Shouldn't have bought it. Next worst purchase would be these push pin clips. In theory, I love the idea of these. It's a clip with a push pin built into it. And if you look at my back bulletin board, you'll notice like I'm using these to hold up my posters. The actual idea of them is great. However, the execution, not so much, because the push pin piece that is attached to it is just not very strong. So constantly, I would have them break off and then I would have to either like use a different clip or in some cases, I started using just these flat push pins and you'll see that here. I started putting that through the hook in order to better hold it, but that defeats the purpose. Like I wanna be able to have an all-in-one. So I'm sure there is a better version out there. It's just that the ones that I bought were not great and I would go back and maybe find ones that were a little bit sturdier. And then last but not least have been these under cabinet lights. And I really do mean not least because the actual lights themselves have not been bad. These are rechargeable lights and you can change the color of them, which is great. They are magnetic, so I can easily remove them when I need to charge them and then put them back up. The reason I am ranking these as a worst purchase for me is because I just haven't used them. I never remember to turn them on. I think all year I've had them on maybe 3 times. And so if anything, I just need to be better at like actually utilizing them. But the idea of them was great. I haven't used them. So if you are interested in under cabinet lights, like these are a good option. You gotta be better than me at remembering to turn them on. Now for a little bonus, I wanna go through 5 things that I didn't buy this year. I already had from when I first started teaching, but they really came in handy this year and I ended up loving them. First, we have these magnetic border strips. So these are each a foot long and they're just thin pieces of magnet, but I have used them on my whiteboard to create different sections. So if you've been following along all year, you know that I've had these kind of interactive science word walls and then also a math word wall. And so I would use this to kind of divvy up the different sections. I already had probably about 2 packs of these from when I previously taught 4th grade. I used it to organize my whiteboard, but I ended up buying, I think 2 more packs throughout the year just to have enough to allow me to really kind of split up and divvy up this whiteboard because it's massive. And so it allowed me to kind of create sections, and I love that I could easily move them around depending on how many weeks that unit was and how the different topics were organized. I know some teachers will put like washi tape on their boards, which is a great option if you're not gonna move it, but for something that's always changing, I feel like having this magnetic border is really nice. I originally got these at like a teacher shop near me when I was in college, but I more recently have been getting them from Amazon. So if you are interested, I will link those. And that actually brings me to my next purchase that I had back when I taught 4th grade, and that is these magnetic bookshelves. I did not utilize these a whole lot when I used to teach 4th grade. I would sometimes have books on display for them, but they were just However, this year they have been great for holding all of my supplies for my whiteboard. So these are from Lakeshore Learning. They come in a 2-pack. And I've been using them to hold like extra magnets for my whiteboard and little magnetic clips. I have my whiteboard marker that I would use. I have some of the little pieces that I would clip up there. So like these ones say fun fact. And then I also have ones that say investigation. And then under here, I have ones that say example. And so this would organize all of those supplies. I also had my like cloth that I would use as an eraser and my blue painter's tape that I would use to attach pictures and things to the whiteboard. I love that it's nice and low, so it didn't take up too much space, but then I had nice, easy access to all of the things that I needed. Next would be these clipboard organizers. I got these, I wanna say from Really Good Stuff, but I know now you can find them on Amazon. They were a little pricey when I first got them, but they have held up fantastic, and they're one of my favorite things because they allow me to really maximize space. My clipboards, I know some teachers will organize them in like big milk crates, but I love how nicely they sit in these organizers, and you can even double them up. So if you look back here, I actually have 2 clipboards in each section. So you can hold like a whole class worth of clipboards. I actually spray painted the organizers when I first got them. The back pieces were wood, so they were like a natural wood color. And then the metal brackets were blue, and I spray painted them black. It's not perfect, like you can see sections where the paint is coming off, but that's because they've been used for like 8 years now. However, I'm sure they come in other colors, and they probably even have ones that are like plastic instead of wood, but highly recommend. Also, if you're getting clipboards, make sure you get the ones with the clips that are more narrow versus kind of the big chunky ones, because it will make it much, much easier to store. My students use clipboards all the time when they're working around the room, so it's one of those things that I invested in, but I'm really, really happy that I did. Next are some not exciting items, but they are things that every teacher needs, and that is a really good stapler and a really good pair of scissors. This is a Boss Stitch stapler, but what I love, it's a spring-powered one, or I forget how they word it, but basically you barely press down and it does the rest of the stapling for you. So it's really handy. You don't have to put in a lot of effort. I've had this for 7 years now, and it still works perfectly. Also, a pair of spring-loaded scissors. These are from the brand Fiskars. They do have smaller, kind of more condensed versions. This one is kind of chunky, but what I mean by spring-loaded is if I unlock it and lift up, you'll notice there is a spring right in the middle. So essentially, when you press down, it will cut, but rather than having to open your hand back up, it just automatically pops back up. So if you're doing a lot of cutting, you know that scissors can be really hard on your hand when you're doing that constant back and forth motion. This just makes it so much easier, so much faster. And then I love that it does have the locking mechanism, so it's a little bit easier to kind of store. So if you are a teacher and you need a good quality stapler and you need a good quality pair of scissors, highly recommend those. I will link them for you down in the description box. And then last but definitely not least, in fact, these are probably like all-time best purchases, I have just a bunch of my different storage organization containers. First up, the Sterilite 3-drawer organizers. These are designed to hold paper, so they will perfectly fit an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. They don't really make them in the black color anymore. They're mostly all white. These ones I've had for years and years and years, but I use it, as you can see, to organize all of my copies, as well as papers I need to grade, papers that need to go home in Tuesday folders, and papers that need to get filed. These labels are in my TPT store. I just printed them in black and white on colored paper, but I will link them for you if you are interested. You'll notice I have another one over here. This is for holding like lined paper and white paper, so it comes in handy all around my classroom. I also have these various open bins that I use to collect papers. These are from Lakeshore Learning. You can buy them individually. I got a set with like all the colors, and I'll kind of show you how I use them. This is a separate one that's black, but this just holds scrap paper. So if I ever have like extra copies, they go in there and my students can use the backside for math. Then I had a spot to collect Math Superstars, which were these kind of extra papers my students would do at home and then turn in. Their Tuesday folders, which match the color of the folders, so the bin is green and so are the folders. Then I had my turn-in bins, one for my morning class and one for my afternoon. The blue and the purple match the colors that are on their math and science notebooks. Then the pink and orange ones are over here on my bookshelf. These would hold extra copies for math and science. That then brings me to these containers, which came from Big Lots, which I'm pretty sure Big Lots is like going out of business. But if you can find these, like, I don't know if they still have them on their website. I'll see if I can link them. Highly recommend. They're just a nice, thick, durable plastic. They don't have lids, but I love that because I use it for things that I want easy access to. So for example, I have one with all of my Golden Emerson supplies and also like the confetti poppers that I use. And then all of my Math Flex activities are organized in these bins. They're just the perfect size. So I have like the Shut the Box games. I have dice and playing cards, 24 cards, various math games. They're all organized into these bins, and I love that my students can just grab and go. And they did come in different sizes, so this is a larger size that I have on top of my cubbies for organizing some other kind of bigger, chunkier supplies. So I have like risers to make desks into standing desks, and I have like bouncy bands, and then I have various science materials and math manipulatives. And then while we're walking past cubbies, I also have these book bins. These came from, I wanna say Really Good Stuff as well, but I got these back when I taught 2nd grade for my students to keep their books in, but now I've been using them in my student cubbies. There is one for the morning class and one for the afternoon class for them to put some of their belongings. Next year, ideally, I want to invest so that I have a full blue set and a full purple set. Right now, I have a full purple set for my afternoon, but my morning class, they have just a mixture of colors because that's what I already had on hand. But those have worked out really well because they fit perfectly inside of the cubbies. And then of course, my holy grail of organization would be my cabinets with all of my supplies. These are the Sterlite latch bins. They do still make them, but I had picked these up at Home Depot, Lowe's, Big Lots, like all kinds of places. Just over the years, I started collecting more and more of them, but now this is how I organize all of my supplies in my cabinets, and I love them because they fit perfectly. These labels are in my TPT store. They're part of my assorted bright labels. They come with just a bunch of different sizes, and it's perfect because the latch bins, as you can see, are all different shapes and sizes as well. These are technically the medium-sized bins. These are the small bins, and then these ones are the minis, and you'll notice they're like a much shorter size, but these have been a fantastic investment because they lasted in the classroom, but then also moving across the country, they have held up perfectly. This was probably way longer than I intended it to be. So if you watched all the way to the end, thank you. Give the video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. But those are my 5 best, mid, and worst purchases of the year, along with 5 things that I didn't have to buy this year, but did come in handy that I loved. Hopefully you got some new ideas. I will link as many of the things, not the ones that I hated, but the good ones down in the description box. And those recommendations that I asked for, like if you have a really good pencil sharpener or a really good door stopper, leave a comment because I'm gonna have to invest this summer. But as always, thank you for watching. I love you so much. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I will catch you in the next one.